Warning: this video contains spoilers for the first season of Beastars. If you do not want the season spoiled for you, please click away from this video now. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hey, it's Schande! So there's no question that the hottest trend in the furry fandom right now is the new Netflix series Beastars. I thoroughly enjoyed it myself. I love the animation style, the subtle and not so subtle hidden themes, and the character design. Plus, I think we can all agree that Benjamin Diskin, the voice of Jack, is a national treasure.
Oh, my tail swinging, maybe I'm in love. Legacy.
However, after watching the entire first season in one sitting, there was only one major question I had. Who devoured Tem? I have my own theory about it, and I'd like to delve into that in today's video. I'll go ahead and reiterate the spoiler warning here, so if you do not want to have any part of the first season of Beastars spoiled for you, click away from this video now. One thing that I was incredibly surprised by when I first started watching the show was how it immediately got dark and serious, right from its opening scene. The series opens with the brutal demise of the drama club student Tem. The hapless alpaca was viciously attacked and mauled by a carnivore early one morning before school began, throwing the entirety of Cherryton High in a state of shock and panic. The herbivore population are fearful for their lives, while the carnivores are worried about being prejudiced by the incident and are pressured into keeping a low profile. However, beyond that, the mystery isn't given much more thought, and the show delves more into the story arc of Legacy and Haru. So, that still begs the question, who killed Tem? While I do have my suspicions, I'd like to go through the list of all the possible suspects. Let's begin by going over what we know about this mystery assailant. In the opening scene, we were able to discern the silhouette of Tem's attacker. What were we able to make out? Well, first off, we know that the assailant is a carnivore, obviously. We also can see that the attacker is much taller than Tem, and has very broad shoulders. The last discernible feature we can pick up is that the attacker has small, round ears. Other important details of the case are the fact that Tem was a member of the drama club, and that his body was discovered in one of the lecture halls in Cherryton High. With all this information in mind, let's try to figure out who done it. As we go through the list of prime suspects, I'm going to be listing them in order of least likely to most likely. I have 5 different possible suspects, so let's go through them all and get to the bottom of this case. Suspect number 5, Legacy. Now before y'all start making your call out posts, just hear me out. I know that Legacy obviously didn't do it, however he does share some key characteristics with the culprit, enough for him to be considered a possible suspect. Think about it, he's a carnivore, he's very tall, and he's a member of the Cherryton Drama Club. These factors would land him on any suspect list. However, this is where the similarities end. Legacy doesn't have the broad build of the assailant, and his ears are a much different shape. Taking this into account, we can cross him off the list pretty quickly. Suspect number 4, the Shishigumi. Towards the end of the first season, we were introduced to the Shishigumi, an organized crime syndicate of lions that specialize in the kidnap and devouring of small herbivores. The gang ends up kidnapping Haru, and we find out from the chief of the group that he exclusively eats white-furred herbivores. The lions in the gang have similar size and stature to the silhouette of the assailant. Along with that, Tem matches the description of the Shishigumi's preferred victim almost to a T, being a small herbivore with white fur. With this in mind, it would seem that the Shishigumi would be a prime suspect for the murder. However, there are a few key pieces of evidence that completely writes this theory off. First, Tem's body was discovered within the school. This completely goes off track from the usual MO of the gang, which is kidnapping and devouring within their hideout. Second, during the attack, Tem can be heard pleading with his assailant, which he distinctly says that they were classmates. So, unless the Shishigumi have a secret member that's a student at Cherryton, we can safely say that they are innocent, at least for in this case. Suspect number 3, Kai. Kai is a mongoose and a student in the drama club. After Tem's death, Kai furiously interrupts a rehearsal between the head actor Louis and Tem's understudy Zoe, demanding to know why he wasn't picked to replace Tem. In the midst of this, he is subsequently removed from the actor's team and placed in the backstage crew, leaving him livid. In another scene, the herbivore students in the club are seen accusing carnivores of attacking Tem in order to get a better part in the show. To me, that does seem like a viable motive for murder. I even wrote a story about that. Shameless self-promotion, link in the description. Since it was revealed that the only 2 that auditioned for Tem's particular role were Tem and Kai, that seemed to me like a good enough motive to off Tem so Kai could claim the role for himself. In fact, the possible motive is why Kai is further up the list than some other more viable suspects such as Legacy. However, there is one major flaw in this theory, one that completely absolves Kai from this crime. Look how small Kai is. He is a lot more diminutive than most of his fellow classmates. As we saw in the opening scene, Tem's attacker was a behemoth, easily 5 times as big as Kai. With this fact alone, we can determine that Kai is innocent. Suspect number 2, the cheetah. I know that putting this character this high on the list seems strange, especially since he's such a minor character. Hell, he hasn't even been given a name thus far. However, there's still just enough evidence that's been revealed about this character that I can't ignore his possible guilt. We were introduced to this character in the 9th episode of the series after Legacy prevents him from killing Louis. Something I noticed is that he had a very similar facial structure to Tem's attacker, including the same small round ears. Along with that, this character seems to have a very apparent bloodlust. The cheetah had no problem straight up offing Louis to prevent him from becoming the next Beastar. It's not really a stretch to think that Louis wouldn't have been the first person he's attacked. Rolling on with this, since we know so little about this character, there isn't much readily available evidence to completely write him off as the culprit. However, we can see that the cheetah is much smaller than Legoshi, which is why he was able to be so easily subdued and his attack foiled. The attacker is easily as tall as Legoshi, maybe even taller. With this fact, we can determine that the cheetah is not the culprit. Suspect number 1, Bill. Here we are at the top of the list. Now keep in mind, this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, the one who attacked and devoured Tem the alpaca is none other than Bill the Bengal tiger. Now you may be asking, Schande, you fabulous little fox you, how in the world did you come up with such a conclusion? Well, my fabulous viewers, let's run down the list of evidence. Let's go through the physical comparisons between Bill and the silhouette of Tem's attacker. They're both very tall, broad-shouldered, round-faced, and have small circular ears. The two are practically spitting images of each other, but beyond that, there are other damning pieces of evidence to pinpoint Bill as the assailant. During the attack, Tem says that it was one of his classmates, and we all know that Bill is a member of the drama club with Tem. We also need to take into account the possible motive of killing Tem to get a better role in the production. When Louis breaks his leg and is unable to go through with a second performance, his role of Adler, not the eagle, is given to Bill, who takes it all too eagerly. This is a clear sign to me that Bill craves being in the spotlight, and he will jump at any chance to be the center of attention. This all seems pretty convincing enough, but we can dig up even more evidence that points to Bill as the culprit. Let's take a look at his attitude and mannerisms. There have been several blatant showcasings of Bill's bloodlust. One of the more tame ones is when Legacy discovers that Bill uses a small vial of rabbit blood as a kind of drug to enhance his performance. Other more serious instances include his onstage interactions with Legacy, while in rehearsal and especially on stage. During their big brawl in front of the audience, Bill shows his true aggression by severely clawing and slashing Legacy's back, to the point of drawing blood. However, Bill's desire for herbivore meat is most apparent when he and his friends discover the black market. There is an elderly herbivore sitting right outside the main alley of the market who is literally selling his fingers for carnivores to eat. Who is the first person to want to take him up on the offer? None other than Bill, who has a crazed, almost desperate look in his eye. He practically begs the others to split the high cost with him just so they could each have a taste. When Legacy objects, Bill tries to legitimize the market by saying it's the only reason the streets of the city are harmonious and peaceful between the carnivores and herbivores. I know this is just a theory, but in my opinion, in every way to Sunday, the evidence points to Bill being the one who brutally murdered poor Tem. Now before I wrap this video up, I gotta acknowledge something. I am fully aware that the manga came first and it already revealed who the killer is. I'm not ignorant to that, but personally I'm not much of a manga reader, which includes the Beastars manga. Since I haven't read it myself, I don't know who the killer is, and I'm planning on waiting until they tell us in the anime. However, if any of you watching have read it, then you already know whether or not this theory is true. So before you go commenting, I respectfully ask for no spoilers.
No spoilers!
Not just for me, but for other viewers who may not have read the manga as well. Please don't tell me if I'm right, please don't tell me if I'm wrong. At this stage, I'm just theorizing with what we've been shown, and I'm eagerly waiting for the next season to see the resolution of this mystery. I'd like to send a big thank you and shout out to all the various artists that provided their artwork for the character stills of this video. I provided their Twitter links under each of the different art styles of which they provided, so please follow them and show them a lot of love. Well, that's all the time I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that shit, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!